You're on, boss.
All right. Thank you much. Hey, everybody. Want to welcome you back to another episode of Roll Call with 3D Response. Tonight it's just going to be me. Jason's got some things brewing on in the great state of Minnesota. I think he's already told some of you that we've got four contracts that he's working on. One of them is actually an addition to what was actually the first install of 3D Response at Christian Heritage Academy. One of the things that you've all probably heard him talk about is that their waiting list after the first install went up about 120%. This is their third edition to accommodate more students. Uh, and that's greatly contributed to the security that Christian Heritage Academy is doing with us 3D Response. And then we've got some schools that got some money set up. So he is going to be working on that. And as you all are probably well aware, the little spinoff that he's doing with the armed security, he's also started that today. He started doing some training with some teachers and stuff. So he's going to be busy for a while. I talked to him for a little bit yesterday, and I agreed to take this on. So I hope I'm not going to be repetitive. And if y'all have any ideas or suggestions, just shoot me a DM in my on my X account, and I'll see what I can do. So tonight is going to be it's kind of going to be maybe a little bit redundant, repetitive, but I want to address something. Um, I know there's been a lot of discussions in back and forth about arming teachers. Uh, Jason and I both have explained, I'm going to assume, to the majority of you, but if there's anybody that's new or sees this later on, why we don't think it's a good idea. We've never said don't do it, we've never said do it. We said it's not a good idea. I'm going to be transparent tonight. Um, and I've said this before. Before I was aware of 3D response having even been in law enforcement, I thought it was a good idea of arming teachers. But once I got familiar with 3D and started really thinking about, um, at the end of the day, these are civilians. These are not sworn law enforcement officers. They don't have the training that law enforcement officers have, everything that goes with it. That said, there's a lot of legal issues that people don't think about. They think it's simple as far as some think it's just as simple as give them a gun and send them to school to teach. And if something happens, use the gun. Some actually acknowledge the fact that the teachers need training. That's obviously a given. What a lot of people don't realize, and we've talked about this before, and I'm gonna speak on it again because I'm going to address another issue that happened a few days ago. One of the legal things that people don't think about is if you arm teachers, and the teachers don't even realize, even if they are willing to carry, um, and that's my first thing. Has people are saying arm the teachers. Ask the teachers if they want to be armed. I've got some friends that are teachers, and when I ask them, they say no, hell no, they don't. And for whatever reason, they don't think it's a good idea to have another gun in school, whatever the reason. So some are saying, well, ask them, give them the option. Well, ask them. You're right, ask them. They don't want it. Not saying that there's not some that would, but I was speaking with a friend of mine that's actually over the security for a school here in Forsyth County, North Carolina, and he had some teachers come to him and ask him about carrying a gun on school premises. And so I think there was about four or five of them. So he spoke with the principal. It's a private school. It's not a public school, but he spoke with the principal. Uh, he got the okay to have a meeting with them. He brought them in and started having a discussion with them. And when they learned that if they are involved in an active shooter, is what we'll call it tonight, if they're involved in an active shooter incident, they are subject to being sued. They're liable if the bullet goes through the armed, the armed subject, and hits another student, hits somebody else in another room. The bullet goes through the wall, the bullet goes through a door, the bullet goes through a class, hits another student. That teacher is held liable. Any of you that have ever taken a concealed handgun class to get your permit, your instructor was very lax if they did not tell you you are responsible for that bullet once it leaves that gun, even if you're trying to do the right thing. Always know, and anybody that Second Amendment has guns, know or should know that you need to be aware of what's behind your target. Um, I had an incident a few years ago when I was working at a pawn shop that I thought we were getting ready to get robbed. And that was one of the things that crossed my mind. If I have to shoot these two individuals and it either goes through or I miss, what's on the other side of that wall? It was another store where a husband and wife own a beauty shop supply company. And I'm like, I don't know what that wall's made of. So that was something that crossed my mind. My point is that in a school, you never know where the subject's going to be. So what I'm trying to say is that once the bullet leaves the gun, that teacher is responsible for that bullet until it stops. God forbid they hit another student, they're going to be held liable. They kill another student, they're going to be held liable. And then you're going to have the public outcry of those that said, we said this was not a good idea, but y'all did it anyway. So Jason and I have taken the approach and have said, take the gun debate out of the conversation. Just take it out. Some are going to argue it's a good idea. Some are going to argue it's a bad idea. One of my things, and I've said time and time again, on top of everything else, not only are they legally liable, insurance companies that cover these school districts have said to us, we will cancel the policy. We don't want it. We will not insure the school district if they allow teachers to carry a weapon. The other thing is that if you have a teacher engaged with an active shooter and law enforcement walks through the door and you've got gunfire, that teacher, there's probably a pretty good chance that teacher is going to get shot. So we brought that up. Well, then you get these people that say, well, give them a vest, give them this to identify themselves. If you're in an active shooter incident, you may not even think about putting a vest on. Hell, some of the teachers that were involved in the Uvalde shooting couldn't even find their keys. They couldn't even get the keys in the door to lock the door. There's a lot of issues that go along with it. My point is that I can probably say that the chances of a law enforcement officer walking through the door or running through the door and shooting, the good guy, the armed teacher, there's a pretty good chance that that's going to happen. Then what? There's just a lot of issues that people don't think about when you're talking about arming the teachers. Training has been a big thing. People are saying, we'll train them. You got to train them. You got to train them. So I'm going to stop with this just a minute. And I'm going to clarify a video. The other day, Jason reposted, I want to be clear on this, Jason reposted a video that another ex-user had found. And as it looks, it was teachers doing an active shooter drill. And we're going to play the video, and I want you to look at it. And then I've got some follow-up after the video. But I want you to watch this video, and if we have to replay it again, we'll replay it again. But I want you to watch the video, and then I'm going to follow up on it. Joker, if you could play that, please.
Get the shooter! Don't have the key!
She's in there! She's in there!
All right. So one of the things that I want to point out, um, and you couldn't see it in this video, but in the video that Jason reposted, in the original video, down at the bottom in the center is the watermark for the sheriff's office that did this training. Um, and I'm going to be honest and transparent with you. When I first watched it the first couple of times, uh, I thought it was in a school. I just realized, just in this video right here, this was actually held at the sheriff's office. So when Jason reposted that video, um, and if any of y'all follow him, you can go back and look at it. But I'm going to read verbatim what he posted. Um, what he said was that all the talks I have had with arming teachers, here's why I disagree. That's all the man said. 1.4 million views later, and 1.4 thousand comments, and 900 and some, I'm sorry, 1.4 million views, 1.4 thousand comments, 388 reposts, and 1.9 thousand likes. Some of the comments were absurd and downright fucking rude. Um, he was called a retard. He was called a dumbass cop. Um, and this was Jason's post. This wasn't my post. This was Jason's post. And any of y'all that know him, y'all know he's, you know, he can take stuff. He puts it out. He can take it. Um, but one of the things that bothered me was this was not only somebody that I highly respect and refer to and call a friend, is that this was a human being that was being talked to by other human beings, or comments, I should say, were being made to him from other human beings, other so called adults. Um, I would dare to say that these are also probably the same adults that have a problem with having discussions when you're dealing with right and left type commentary. Democrat, Republican, Republican, Democrat. Well, why can't we have an opinion? Y'all have an opinion. Why can't we have an opinion? That's all Jason did. He stated his opinion. And when I talked to him about it, I said this to him. I said, Jason, I think what has happened is there's been so many arguments about arming teachers, but this video right here shows why it's probably not a good idea. And the other thing is that I downloaded the video, I clipped it, and I posted it. I didn't get nothing like he got. Nothing. I got nothing like that. And um, the comments are rude. And one of the things that really blew me out of the water was this. And I'm not going to name the company, not right now, but there was I'm going to call it a pro Second Amendment company that, with a gold check mark, not a blue check mark, a gold check mark, was the one that called him a fucking retard. I was shocked. Um, and they got, last time I looked, was 81,000 views. Some of the comments were of that nature, and some of the comments were uh, in favor of what Jason was saying. So, in preparation for this show, I reached out to the sheriff and the undersheriff of this sheriff's office, and uh, asked either one of them or both of them to be a guest on the show. The sheriff, and that was on Friday. The sheriff emailed me back on Saturday morning. When I woke up, I had an email from the sheriff, and he basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that there must be some kind of disconnect that this was an actual police citizens academy. And I'm familiar with that. Before I got into law enforcement, I actually participated in one of those. Jason has done that. A lot of police agencies and police departments, sheriff's office do this. It kind of allows citizens that are in that county or city to kind of get an inside look at what law enforcement officers, uh, from the beginning, from hire to the training, kind of gives them an idea of what a law enforcement officer does. And when I went through a simulator. It's called FATS, and it stands for Firearms Training Simulator. Uh, it wasn't anything live like this. So anyway, the sheriff says this was a police citizens academy. This was not an actual uh, type training. So that's the other thing. These were not teachers. But at the end of the day, we're probably going to get some pushback on that. But these were still civilians. Uh, some of them were trained. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, some of them probably have either owned or have used, practiced with a firearm or something like that. And I'm going solely based on the way they were holding the firearm. But if you go back and look at the 45-second mark, one of the uh, teachers, if you want to call her that, she shoots a student that's trying to evacuate. I think she double tapped him actually. Um, so then the video was portrayed that Jason created the video. Jason did not create that video. He merely shared it. Uh, he just caught a lot of flack on that. A lot more flack than either one of us expected. So we had one, or he had one guy that offered to be on the show tonight, but I tried to message him. I can't message him. We follow each other, but I can't message him. Um, but this kind of gives you an inside look, even on, take the teacher part away from it, take it on, on a civilian. I mean, this was uh, simulated active shooter. And this is how people react. And, one of the first things that kind of bothered me was the first lady. I don't know if y'all saw her or not. First lady in the video, like she's smiling and laughing. Um, then the first guy, he hears the gunshot simulator go off. He jumps back and starts laughing. And I know they know it's training, but people need to take this shit serious. Uh, so I kind of see both sides of it uh, in a way, but the comments were really, really unnecessary. And I know we're in a world today with social media where people can say whatever they want to with no repercussions. It's the First Amendment and all that. But it bothered me. It really, it bothered Jason. Um, and go back on his page and watch the video ever how many times you need to, and draw whatever conclusion. We're never saying that if it comes down to it that the teachers don't need to be trained. They do. And one of the comments that was made was about 1,000 hours of training. What people don't realize is that even after you go through, here in North Carolina, it's called Basic Law Enforcement Training. The acronym is BLET. Even after you go through BLET, yeah, you go through firearms training. You go through a lot of firearms training. And then, nowadays we have updated simulators like the FATS simulator. We actually do active shooter training and stuff like that. But the ongoing training is ongoing every year. Yeah, you got to qualify. But even that said, I know of a deputy that had been hired, gone through the training, and actually was in a car by himself and got called out on a domestic. And when he rolls up, pulls in the driveway, and gets out of his car. The guy pops out from the backside of the mobile home and starts firing at him with an AK. And it was, and he froze. He hesitated. He'd, been out on his own, I think about 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and he was having AK rounds thrown at him, and he froze. He hesitated. He drew his weapon, but he never fired. The officer that was backing him up returned fire. Um, so even law enforcement officers, you can't. People say, well, it takes a lot of training. It takes a lot of training. There's a lot that's going to have to go into arming teachers. Um, and I hope that video maybe can give some of y'all a better idea of what this may look like on the other end. Yes, it's going to be a lot more serious. And one of my arguments against it is if you've got a situation like that, the teacher don't need to be leaving the classroom and leaving the class unattended. Some of the arguments were, well, let the teachers be armed but not go outside of the room. If the threat comes to the door or comes through the door, let them do what they need to do. Um, I don't feel any better about that. I get the argument, but at the same time, you're still dealing with the issues of weapon retention. Uh, some of these kids nowadays are a lot bigger and a lot stronger than these teachers. And like somebody told me a long time ago, there's always somebody bigger and badder than you. And if you introduce a weapon into a classroom, you're just given the possibility of it going bad. What are the chances of that? I don't know. But you damn sure don't want a student coming into school with a gun. Why do you want to put a gun in the school when the student knows that there's a gun? People say you put a safe or whatever the case may be. It takes time to open those safes, guys. Um, it's just not a good idea. And like we've said before, just take the gun debate out of the conversation. And, this ain't even an anti-AI or metal detector show. I don't think it's a good idea uh, show. But I just, uh, I just wanted to show the video tonight, uh, and you know, maybe it will help your decision. And if you believe about pro arming teachers, that may help you. It may, it may not, and that's fine. Uh, you know, I'm open for dialogue and pushback, and you know, uh, constructive conversations and stuff like that. But we as adults need to be doing better about the way we talk to other people, the way we talk to other human beings. And I'm gonna stop beating a dead horse, but and I've not been looking at the comments. But if anybody has any questions, or Joker, if you're able, what for the last 10 minutes or so, if somebody wants to call in, I'm for that too. I know this really wasn't. I didn't plan on going on this long, but this is how strong I feel about it. And I'm just scrolling back through the comments. So Ashley makes a comment. They don't want to bear the responsibility if they killed an innocent bystander. That's the other thing. We've talked about, teachers hesitating. Uh, Hesitation to get you killed. Uh, if you hesitate, you can allow the shooter to get out of the line of fire and go somewhere else. Um, there's just a lot that can happen.
Hey, Jason, I got a clip where a
I'm
guy on the
I'm
street.
John. I'm
Oh, I'm
John. I'm
sorry,
better
John.
looking.
Sorry.
I'm better looking.
Okay. Whatever. I'll let you argue with him about that shit. I got a clip where PragerU was on the street asking people their opinion about teachers on the street. Can I show that?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
What's up, guys? Aldo here with PragerU. Today I'm at UCLA to ask students what they think about public school teachers being able to carry firearms in their classrooms. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss any more videos like this. So today we're asking, should teachers be allowed to carry firearms in their classrooms?
Yeah, I don't think so. I personally don't believe that's necessary. And yeah, I don't think that would be conducive to learning environment on campus.
I would say no. I think if anyone should carry a firearm, it should probably be like licensed security guards that are stationed.
I'm not a fan, I have to say. I live in a very sort of gung-ho state in Texas, and I'm not a fan of it at all. I was a teacher in the UK. I think it's just bringing another level of worry and anxiety into the classroom.
Do you have any kids that go to UCLA?
Yes, I do. I have one child.
How would you feel if a teacher had a gun in your child's classroom? Would you feel safe?
The teachers had the proper training and checked all the boxes, the background checks and everything. I think it's a viable option, you know, and I think it should be discussed and considered.
I don't know.
A kid could pick up a gun.
I think that since we go to a public institution, probably yes.
I mean, I feel like if they have a license and they get trained for it, then yeah, because it could protect students in the long run. But if they're not trained to use a firearm, nor like have a license, then definitely not.
I would think if it was regulated heavily, then and like certain precautions about background checks and depending on where it was stored, then yeah.
Do you think that if teachers were able to carry firearms, it would deter potential mass shooters?
I don't think so. No.
If it's not going to deter people, why do you think most mass shootings happen in gun-free zones?
I actually don't know the answer to that.
Do you guys think that teachers being able to carry firearms would deter would-be school shooters from attempting that?
I do think so, though. Honestly, I think knowing that something's there that could harm them, they would be afraid to. I mean, I personally would be.
If it's a trained professional, like a teacher like actually knows exactly what they're doing instead of just like being able to have a firearm, yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I think it may deter school shooters, and it may also make them more elusive as well at the same time.
UCLA is a tobacco-free campus. Interesting. I'm sure it works just as well as the gun-free zones. Keep it up.
Maybe security needs to improve.
Well, I'll ask you about security. You know, there's been a lot of protests here on this campus. Are you satisfied with the response to those events?
No, I don't think so, no.
At the end of the day, police could be busy with something else. Not that they wouldn't get there, but of course, time is of essence, like with the situations like this. So I think that would help a lot.
A lot of the security guards stationed on campus haven't really been the most effective. With a lot of the Palestine encampments and protests going on, maybe that's a conversation that like each school should have. And I think if most of the school supports it, then it's like, why not? You know?
Well, guys, that's a wrap for this video. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more videos like this.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting too to hear it from students.
Well, the only person who was even open to it said they had to be registered, trained, and they had to check all the boxes. I don't know any teachers that do that.
Yeah, and one of the other things, and we have maybe talked about it just a little bit, but one of the other things that a lot of people don't realize, and I think every agency is different. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if it's state mandated or what, but we have to go through psych evaluations every so often. I had to do a psych evaluation when I applied at Winston Police Department, even to get hired. I had to do one at the sheriff's office. You know, I was at the sheriff's office for 7 years and I had to do 3. So that kind of gives you an idea of how often they do it. I think Jason said he ended up having to do, it was like 7 or 8 in his 30-year career. So in the psych evaluation, if you really think about it, the psych evaluation isn't because you need to stay updated on the laws. That's what legal update's for. Stay updated on the laws if they've changed or whatnot. The psych evaluation is because you're carrying a gun on your side. Are you in the right state of mind to carry a gun? Are you gonna be on duty one of these days, and is something underlying that may not be bothering you now, but may come to a head, 3 or 4 years down the road. Is something going to trigger you to go and do something bad? That's what the psych evaluation is there for, and to weed out. That said, how many, I mean, not to go down another rabbit hole, but look at these teachers that are getting charged with, and I'll just call it this, unnecessary conduct with other students. Something's got to be wrong with them to do that. Male and female. I'm not talking about just one gender. I'm talking about male and female. Something's got to be wrong with them. How many teachers are dealing with stuff at home? Divorce, separation, child custody issues. The list goes on and on. How many times are we seeing, these couples that are involved in divorces and, boyfriend, girlfriend breakup, and one party or the other has to go and take a restraining out order on the other, and all that is a piece of paper. But how many times does that end up in violence? So, my thought there is that, okay, so you've got, a firearm in a classroom, and the teacher's having a bad day because they got to go to court the next day for child custody and they're getting ready to lose their kids. I mean, what's keeping them from, flipping their lid and doing something really bad? Then here comes the outcry. Well, why did we arm teachers? Why did y'all do this? And it's too late at that point. So I guess again, my thing is and our thing is just take the gun debate out. And yeah, I'm going to say it. I mean, our system is going to give everybody the protection they need to stay safe and behind ballistic rated material until law enforcement gets there. That was another thing. Jason got grouped into the police officers' lack of action at Uvalde. And one person actually called this company out on that comment. It's like, you're grouping this one individual into, these police officers that, done a piss poor job at Uvalde. That wasn't even, that was wrong. What a lot of people don't realize is that I'll say this again now, and I'll probably say it again later. If our system had been in Uvalde, the way that played out, there's not one dead kid, there's not one dead teacher. Our system would have forced a confrontation between the shooter and law enforcement. There would not have been a 77-minute jerking off period. When they walked in the door, there would have been a firefight between law enforcement and the shooter. So there again, you're not, I saw, somebody made the comment, well, one officer standing there looking at his phone. I don't know what he was doing, but yeah, he's looking at his phone while gunfire's, going off. He would have been doing that. At that point in time, actually, they would have been looking at a dead body, and that being the shooter. So that, really, that's not even a valid argument. And there was so much wrong with these comments. If people would go and look at the system and see what it does, or even ask questions, well, what does your system actually do? And then you can agree or disagree, and that's fine. Again, everybody has an opinion. But to just go off and say some of the things they said, and I want to be clear, I'm not speaking for Jason. That's not why Jason is not here. Jason's got, like I said, he's got some contracts on the table. He started a new gig today under 3D Response, and he's not going to be here much. So I agreed to take this over. I'm speaking for me. It bothered me. I didn't sleep much at all Friday night, Saturday morning, because these comments, they were just out. They were out there. But yeah, he got, lumped into the officers at Uvalde. He was accused of manufacturing the video. It wasn't even the 3D video. That was a video that a sheriff's office down in Florida had done with their Citizens Police Academy. And if the dipshits would have bothered to look, down at the very bottom, they would have seen the sheriff's office emblem, the logo down at the very bottom. It don't say anything about 3D response. And actually 3D response wasn't even mentioned in the post. It was just said, this is why he didn't think it was a good idea. So, I don't know. It was, I'm normally quiet, but this got to me too. I think people need to know what they're talking about before they open their mouth, and I'll say that to anybody. I'm reading Ashley's post or her comment. Well, and kind of like what Ashley's saying, it says, and look at Sandy Hook. Adam Lanza's mother was a teacher at the school. If she was at school and armed, if she expected to kill her own child. Well, not only that, but these teachers, like when they're at school, if you've got kids in school or have had kids in school, I'm sure you would be hard pressed not to have heard a teacher say, "I love your kid. I love your kid," and I think they honestly do. They get to know them. They get to care about them. They get to love them. They care about your kids. I mean, you've got teachers, laying on top of other kids during active shooter events. Is a teacher going to be able to pull the trigger on another student? Or, I mean, you're going to have so much in your head, like, is this justified? Where's my bullet going? What if I hit somebody else? I mean, there's just so much wrong, and we're already putting on them, especially with today, the way kids are today in school. They're trying to teach, and they're having to deal with some of these yahoos that don't know how to act. And so not only are they dealing with that, now you're asking them to potentially have to use a firearm to shoot another student. Again, I used to be behind it, but not anymore. I don't think it's a good idea for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I just don't think it's a good idea. But if Joker wants to open the phone line, I'm willing to talk to somebody.
You say what now?
If you're wanting to do the phone line, we could do that. I don't know. We've got 20 minutes left.
Okay. Well,
I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. Like I've said what I needed to say.
Yeah. All good. Hang on. I'll open the phone lines for you. I don't know if anybody will want to call, but
no, and that's fine. One of the things that that also was that you've got a company, a business that made that comment. I don't know. It was just I was shocked. There's not a lot of things that shocked me, but this shocked me. And to Bob's point, Bob says, "What the hell is wrong with people?" I don't know. Again, it's okay to have your opinion, and we can have discussions and say why we don't think it's a good idea, why you think it's a good idea. And a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, when they listen to us, they're like, "Oh, well, we didn't think about that." And when I look at a lot of these comments that were made, and not to be disrespectful, I think I have all right to be, but it wasn't pointed toward me directly. But a lot of these people are making comments being uneducated on what we're doing. And again, 3D wasn't even mentioned. People started doing their own research. And, I guess at the end of the day, the way that I look at it with, 1.4 million views and the comments that were received and the repost, not all of them were bad. So I can hope and pray that, we did also get some good publicity as well. Because after the initial videos was shared, um, some of the comments were actually, uh, they weren't bad. They weren't bad at all. Like some of these people are actually open to discussion. So, very interesting. And Ashley made another comment about 40 to 50% of the shooters are former students. The Tennessee shooter, uh, whatever she ended up being, they had gone to school there a few years before. Uh, but on the other side of that, a lot of them, a lot of the shooters had no affiliation with the school. I researched one the other day, looking back at past school shootings that since Columbine, and what a lot of people also don't know is that the majority, not all of them, but the majority of these active shooters planned uh, planned their day anywhere from a year to 2 years out. Uh, there was one that I looked into the details on to see if 3D, could have helped, uh, and he had been planning it for 2 years. Um, so yeah. So Ashley on that. So okay, Ashley's commented. My roommate had an idea of possibly arming like a janitor or someone that no one knows is armed, kind of like the same concept as U.S. Marshal or like an Air Marshal, I'm assuming. So if something goes down there or there, it's still the still the same thing. I mean, you can't guarantee that that person would be where they need to be when they need to be there. Same as a SRO. Um, and ironically, during I think it was the Tennessee shooting. I've read so many of them here in the last couple of weeks, but I think it is the Tennessee shooting. When she shot the glass, or he shot, whatever it is, when they shot the glass out, the janitor was actually in his closet or office or whatever, and I guess didn't recognize the noise or whatever. And as soon as he stepped out of the doorway into the hall, um, the shooter mowed him down. Um, that's the other thing a lot of people don't realize is that if you're going to be in a gunfight, uh, you if they already have their weapon drawn, you're 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 not in a good spot because they've already got the upper hand on you. If you look at one of the self-defense cases that happened, I think it was about 2 years ago, where a gentleman, I think it was his son, was in a Mexican restaurant at night one night for a late night snack, and a guy comes in, is robbing everybody, taking their cell phone and whatnot, had a gun. He comes, down through the aisle and through all of the booth seats, takes everybody's cell phone, and he's robbing the place. And as soon as he turns his back, the Good Samaritan just, shoots him. So my point is when the guy walks through the door, he already had his firearm out. So he had to jump on him. And that's the other thing is, um, it's the element of surprise. Um, that's why officers have only a split second to make a decision on use of lethal force or not. Sometimes you get the upper hand on them, sometimes you don't. But, you know, with, I'm going to say with every one of the school shootings, maybe with the exception of Uvalde because he started shooting before he got to the school. I mean, you know, they've got the upper hand on whoever's in the school. One of the ones that, and I forget his name right now, and I wouldn't call it out if I could remember it. But anyway, the one that was just on trial where his dad was charged, you know, he didn't brandish his weapon until he was, you know, already in the school. And that's the other thing, you know, with the AI. This kid had his gun concealed in a book bag, and AI is not going to pick it up. They didn't have metal detectors, but that's another story. But anyway, you know, when he started shooting, he had the upper hand on them. And that was, you know, one of the questions I was asked the other day is, you know, what if the kid's in the classroom? You know, how is 3D going to help? We have never said that we're going to stop the first one. It's a reactionary system. And, you know, we're not saying you're going to stop the first one. But, you know, if they're already in the classroom, they're going to do what they're going to do. All you can do is pray for the best. I mean, you can't take the element of surprise really away in a situation like that. But yeah, actually, I mean, really, honestly, it's the same concept. You can't guarantee the janitor's going to be where they need to be when they need to be there. The school shooting I'm referring to, they had 2 SROs, and they were actually looking for the kid because the kid had texted his mom before he started shooting, and she called the office there at the school and was trying to give them information when he actually started shooting. So the SROs were on the other side of the school looking for him because just coincidentally they had 2 students there, I think with the similar first name, same last name, because they actually it was short, but they detained the wrong kid at first, and then they started hearing the gunshots. So again, you can't guarantee that the janitor's going to be where they need to be when they need to be there. Joker, if you want to run your ads or something, we'll see if we got any new comments after, since we got like 10 minutes left. That's up to you, buddy.
I can do that.
All right.
Oh, Bailey, fix. Baby, baby. Oh, Bailey, fix. Oh, Bailey, fix. Baby, baby. I want my Bailey fix. Oh, Bailey fix. The Bailey fix. Static in the wire, power in the vein, plugging in the jack just to numb the brain. 010, yeah.
Look around you. The world isn't as quiet as they want you to believe. In the dead of night, the shadows stretch, the frequencies warp, and the truly bizarre leaks into reality. You've seen things you can't explain. You've heard the whispers in the woods, witnessed the lights dancing in the upper atmosphere, and felt your hair stand up when you thought you were completely alone. Stop keeping it to yourself. Welcome to the Electric Circus. Your hosts, the Joker and Drax, are unlocking the phone lines and pulling back the curtain on the absolute unknown. This isn't a lecture. This is your platform. We want the raw, unfiltered truth. I don't think it's human. It's standing right outside my window. From skinwalker encounters to shadow figures to UFO cover-ups and cryptids stalking the tree lines. If it's odd, unexplainable, or downright terrifying, we're asking for you to call us live. No judgment, just the truth. The studio line will be wide open. The Joker's wild, so smile and dial! And save them in your phone. Call 386-227-7284. That is 386-227-7284. His Majesty's madness gives all things strange and weird a home. Break the silence. Tell the Joker and Drax what you saw before the signal goes dead.
So you care about the safety of children and their lives, right? Well, listen to this. In 1958, 92 children and 3 teaching nuns died in a fire at Our Lady of the Angels School in Chicago. It led to a nationwide reform of fire safety in schools. Since then, not one child has died from a school fire. The same principle should be applied today. The issue of school shooters is still a problem.
A gunman shooting down at these students.
As, of course, we now learn about even more school shootings.
And our Brittany Ehrman found they aren't building schools like they used to for this very reason.
The definition of school safety in today's day and age previously had not yet been defined.
With Minnesota-based 3D Response Systems.
One of the pushbacks we hear is we don't want our schools to look like a prison. In reality, our system is completely hidden so you don't lose that learning environment feel.
3D Response Systems is a multi-layered design to get the police there faster and provide tools for the people inside to survive.
I went there as a skeptic. I'm not a skeptic any longer.
Why isn't this in every school?
Because the loss of even one child's life is one too many.
But let's get this word out and make sure that we support folks like Representative Hudson and 3D Response System. And wherever you are, whatever state you're in, go talk to your school board, go talk to your state representative. Tell them about this.
For information, or if you would just like to help, download our info sheet PDF located under the Systems tab.
The 3D Response Systems design will provide safe spaces and a rapid response from first responders.
We should install in every school, public and private.
Kick in the door! Dress this bitch, hear the crowd commit. Dress this bitch, get off your ass. Dress this bitch, or get hit. Dress this bitch, raise your fist. Dress this
a cold hard truth only you know.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. I want to thank y'all for listening. I hope I didn't ramble too much. This is something I needed to get off my chest, but I appreciate every one of y'all who have supported Jason and I in this endeavor. You don't know how much it means. It'll pay off one day. That was another thing, a comment that was made is about money. You're just wanting to make money. This is your way to make money, something like that. When Jason and Pete started this, it had nothing to do with money. They were looking at, the school shootings that had happened at that time or up to that point, and just kept seeing a trend where, depending on what happened, they tried to come up with a solution to see that, that method didn't happen again, whether it be, coming in a back door, they made single point entry, people being able to walk in and out, they done visitor management, whatever the case may be. And, at the end of the day, as most of y'all know, our system just, is in each classroom or where it needs to be, and just gives the teachers and the students the tools they need to go home at the end of the day, if at all possible. At least give them a fighting chance. And I've not been public about this, but one of the things that I've told a few people is I've been doing this 2 years this past summer, and I've not made one penny. I don't get paid to do this. I believe in it that much, and I've made those arrangements that no parent wants to make. And if I can sell, one system and know that, a group of parents potentially won't have to do the same, make the same decisions that I've had to make, then that's more than enough for me. That's my payment. And if I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't have been doing this for 2 years for nothing. So anybody that says we're doing it for money, go fly a fucking kite, because we ain't doing it for money. We're tired of seeing dead kids, when knowing that there's at least something out there that'll at least give them a fighting chance. But I appreciate everybody listening to me ramble. If anybody has any ideas, I'm going to be working on some stuff here in the next few days for next week's show. Maybe I can find something more exciting to talk about. We'll figure something out. But anyway, I want to thank every one of you again.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you guys next week, 5 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good day.
Thank you, buddy.